The cage is silent. The crowd is holding its breath. And at the center of it all is a man who built his entire career on chaos. Quinton "Rampage" Jackson. A fighter who could knock you out cold 1 second and make you laugh the next. But this time, it's different. The chaos isn't in the octagon. It's in his words. And the whispers, they're brutal. Rampage is lying, not just lying, spreading misinformation. And the reason, to protect his son, Raja. But here's the twist. The harder Rampage fights to cover the truth, the more exposed he looks. And fans can smell the blood in the water. This isn't a normal MMA story. It's not about takedowns, contracts, or title shots. This is about a father's loyalty, a son's reputation, and the dangerous line between defending family and destroying credibility. To understand why this is hitting so hard, you have to remember who Rampage is. This man was an icon of violence and pride, a wrecking ball in the UFC. He knocked out Chuck Liddell. He slammed Ricardo Arona like a rag doll. He was raw power mixed with charisma. He was the kind of fighter who could walk into a press conference, crack a joke, howl like a wolf, and have the whole room eating out of his hand. But the fight game is ruthless. 1 minute you're on top of the world, the next you're fighting to stay relevant. And now, Rampage isn't battling opponents. He's battling narratives, and his weapons aren't fists anymore. They're words. Enter Raja Jackson, Rampage's son, young, hungry, trying to carve his own path in the fight world. That's pressure enough, being the child of an MMA legend. But when controversy swirls around Raja, when people start asking questions, suddenly Rampage is right there on the front lines. And instead of letting Raja handle it, Rampage jumps in swinging. Not with facts, but with excuses. Not with clarity, but with confusion. Fans notice, journalists notice, other fighters notice. And it starts to look less like Rampage is defending his son, and more like he's shielding him from a truth nobody wants to say out loud. Because here's the reality. In MMA, lies don't last long. They get exposed, they get replayed. And once the cracks show, the whole wall comes crashing down. Think of this controversy like a fight. Round 1. Rampage comes out strong. He says Raja's critics are haters, that the stories aren't real, that the people talking are clout chasing. He's throwing jabs, keeping the pressure. But then round 2 hits. Evidence starts surfacing. Screenshots, video clips, eyewitnesses, and suddenly Rampage is swinging wild, haymakers of denial, uppercuts of deflection. He's trying to overwhelm the truth with noise. But the problem? The truth has a granite chin. It doesn't go away. It stands there smiling through the punches. And fans can see it. And I've got to tell you, watching Rampage unravel like this is bizarre. This is a guy who used to make entire arenas tremble. A guy who walked into battle against legends and never blinked. Now he's on social media, twisting narratives, grasping at straws, all to protect Raja. And the more he does it, the more the whole thing feels upside down. Now let's get real for a second. Is there anything wrong with a father protecting his son? Absolutely not. That's human. That's primal. But when protection turns into deception, that's when it backfires. Because here's the thing about the MMA world: fighters don't forgive weakness, and fans don't forgive lies. If Raja wants to build his own name, he needs to stand on his own, not hide behind Rampage's misdirection. Every time Rampage lies for him, it doesn't erase the criticism. It multiplies it. It makes Raja look guilty by association. Picture it. The arena lights dim, and Rampage's voice echoes louder than the crowd. But instead of the roar of a knockout, all you hear are contradictions. All you see are headlines piling up. And right there in the spotlight, Raja, whether he asked for it or not. So here's the big question: is Rampage really protecting Raja? Or is he dragging him into a bigger fight than he can handle? Because this doesn't just affect Rampage and Raja. This is about every fighter's family, every kid of a legend who tries to step into the cage. It's about the way the MMA world watches bloodlines like hawks, ready to call out favoritism, lies, or shortcuts. We've seen it before. Fighters' kids getting unfair pressure, unfair expectations. But rarely do we see a legend actively manipulating narratives in real time to protect one of them. And when the MMA community senses dishonesty, they don't just boo, they investigate. They pile on. They create memes. They dig deeper. Rampage has always thrived on being the villain. He was the heel before MMA even knew what heels were. He barked, he taunted, he thrived on the chaos. But when you lie to protect family, it doesn't look like swagger. It looks like desperation. And desperation, that's something fans can smell from miles away. And here's where it gets dark. What if the very thing Rampage is trying to shield Raja from ends up defining him forever? Because let me tell you how this really is. Rampage can fight the media. He can fight the critics. He can even fight the truth for a while. But eventually, the cage door closes. And when that happens, no amount of lies, no amount of deflection, no amount of fatherly protection will matter. The truth is undefeated. The truth doesn't tap. And the truth doesn't care if your name is Quinton Rampage Jackson. So, is this Rampage defending Raja? Or is this Rampage creating the very storm that could drown him? One thing's for sure. This isn't just another fight story. This is the hardest fight of Rampage's career. And it's one he can't win with fists. Stay locked in. Because when the truth finally lands, and it always does, it won't just hit Rampage. It'll hit Raja. It'll hit their legacy. And it'll hit harder than any slam Rampage ever delivered inside the octagon.